Good morning. Our culture is losing its appreciation for moms. It took a while for us to get here. We didn't just wake up like this. You can kind of look backwards and see the trajectory where there's kind of things where we've kind of lost our understanding of like what are moms? What do they do? What do they spend their time doing? And things like that. And often you'll even hear moms say, "Well, I'm just a mom." Thinking I kind of am asking the same question. And there's a little bit of a reason for that. Back in the day, the mom aspect of the family, they had a whole industry involved in that, you know? You know the Proverbs 23 woman, the chapter 30, not 23, whoa. Don't look up 23 woman, I don't know. Proverbs 31 woman, who knows what chapter 23 would say about you guys. But even her, she's like buying fields, planting vineyards, buying and selling fabric and clothing her kids. Like there's this whole industry aspect of it. And if you wanted to, you eat beans for dinner, you'd have to spend a day in advance soaking them or boiling them so you could have them for dinner, right? And now you just kind of, it used to be everybody canned their own tomatoes. It used to be everybody canned their own beans. And now you do it for fun if you're going to do it at all, right? And like my wife, Megan, read this book called Mending with Love, and it's all about if your kids have holes in their clothes, there's some creative ways you can sew it up and close the things. But she does that for fun. Like if we really need to, we just go to the store and buy more clothes. You know what I mean? She's not like having to clothe our kids physically, you know? And if we're going to be like, hey, let's do pasta the real way, it'd be a whole family event where we try to make this pasta out of eggs and flour and stuff like that. But most of all, that's been kind of what it takes to make a meal and put it on the table has been shrunk down, wondrously so, by the canned food aisle in the grocery store, and the boxed pasta, and the meat section, and the packaged meat, and all this, right? These things have made it simpler, and you kind of go, what are we doing now? And we kind of lose, and then we kind of go, well, man. When Megan does go, I'm going to go sew this up so I can make it for my kids or whatever, she's doing it kind of like out of like a muscle memory of like kind of reconnect with the women who've gone before her. Kind of like I really care about my yard, but I don't have a crop. You know what I mean? It's just like I got a little tractor and I ride out there and it's just grass. You know what I mean? That's all it is. But it's like I got a yard and I'm taking care of it, but it's not like providing for my family. It's just something I kind of do and I kind of kick it around and whatever. It's that aspect of like the industry is not there. The thing where you're like, this is what I'm providing, like that, it's not exactly there. And it's left people going, well, if that's not there, maybe it's not as important as we thought it was. But those parts were never actually the most important part of being a mom anyways. And then, as we just kind of went through that, and then you look up and kind of go, we just kind of, in some cases, just kind of lose the general goodness and value and need for having moms in our lives. And that's not the other. There's this other thing going on in our culture where we're kind of a culture that worships youth. We are scared to death of getting old. We don't know how to age. We don't know how to age well. To the point where when we think about aging well, we think that's the same words as staying young. All right, I'm 38. I'm in the almost 40 bracket of my life. And let me just tell you, and I'm a dad of young kids. Let me tell you what my algorithm is filled with on social media. Guys about 5 years older than me going, here's what you learn when you turn 40. There's guys that took care of their bodies and guys that didn't. And so people my age, it's just full of the world's just full of people going, how can I get hard again? How can I get back into my fighting weight? How can I do these things so can I push back the treadmill of getting older and I can stay young forever? And it's just it's a good thing to do. You should work, you should take care of your body or whatever, but you're gonna get old, right? And women are using Botox more and more and more and younger and younger and younger, like in the 17 age area. And it's this fear of getting older. And also kind of a worship of youth. What's the next new young thing we can do? And it's because we just are scared to death of it. And both of those things going together has kind of allowed our culture to lose its appreciation for what exactly moms are. And who they are. And what they add to this world. But let me tell you something. You will spend your youth on something. You will not get to hold on to it for forever. You will not be able to say, well, I kept running and running and running, so I never had to get old. Or I didn't ever have kids. I didn't have to do that, so I didn't spend my youth on that. You're going to spend your 20s and your 30s and your 40s on something. And hopefully you'll get to the other side of it and you'll have something to show for it. Sometimes you look at your 20s and 30s and you go, wow, I just wasted that. Sometimes you look at your youth and you go, I spent it on nothing. But you'll spend it on something. And whatever it is you spend your youth on, make no mistake, you cannot hold on to it. And so, as the pastor of Foothills Christian Church, to all the moms of Foothill Christian Church, and the moms everywhere else, I'd just like to say thank you for spending your youth on us. This world really would not be the same place without you. There really would not be what this world is if it were not for moms giving their lives for their families. The Bible, look, Karen's happy about it. See, like all the moms are in the room. I'm not clapping for myself because that's because of your moms, yeah. So here's the deal. 1 Peter gives us an image of what a godly woman can look like. It's a fascinating one. It says this, chapter 3 says this, your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles or wearing gold jewelry or fine clothes. And now, that's a list that could actually go on forever, isn't it? There's 1,000 things. There's 1,000,000 things you could put there about how am I going to decide what my worth is? How am I going to decide what my value is? How can I show the world who I am and what I've made of myself? It could be a degree you pursued or a career you pursued or how you've kept your beauty as long as you can or the clothes you can wear or the car you can drive. And all these are things that people in our culture will put out there as potential opportunities to show what they've done with themselves. And the Bible goes, you don't want that to be the thing that defines your value for you. But rather, it should be that of your inner self, an unfading beauty. Something about who you are. Not the outward stuff that fades, not the outward stuff that you can't hold on to, not the outward stuff that will be gone one day, but something about who you are in your truest, most real self that will never go away. That's what we should be focusing on. That's how we should present ourselves before God and before the world. And the part that no one else is going to get to see. And then he says this, it is of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. The beauty that is on the inside, the beauty of your inner self, what the Bible says is of great worth in God's sight. Those parts of you that will never get you an interview on a podcast, they'll never make you a celebrity, they'll never, maybe you can't package it, you can't market it, you can't put it in a bottle and put it in the grocery store. Those things are all great, those things are all wonderful, but that's not what God's going to look at and say, no, it's the part of you that no one else will see. And oftentimes we don't even see it ourselves. That is of great value in the eyes of God. There's this blind doctor that comes across my Instagram, and I love this guy. And when you first see him, his name is Dr. Hobie Wedler. And when you first see him, you think it's kind of like a prank. You think someone's playing a joke on you, but because he's blind and he kind of has some weird-looking eyes, and so you think he's kind of making a joke because his whole thing is about sensory perception. He wants you to just enjoy the small things in life. And so he calls it sensory literacy. And so he'll get like a table of cherries and go, I can't believe it. Guys, you won't believe it. It's the first batch of cherries all year. It's amazing. And he takes a bite of it and he goes, yeah, I told you, it's amazing. And he just starts flipping out over cherries, and then he flies to Hawaii and goes, guys, you won't believe it. I found a star fruit. And he cuts it open. I'm laughing at a blind guy, but give me a break. Okay, I'm in a real vulnerable situation here, okay, but I'm trying to tell you about this guy. And so he's like, you won't believe how awesome this star fruit is. Here's one of the videos he does.
I have it permanently marked on my calendar for this time of year, telling me to go look for the first harvest cherries in the United States. Hi, I'm Dr. Hobie. I'm your guide to some of the greatest things the world has to offer. If you like this content, be sure to give me a follow, and if you want to reach out, do so in the link in my bio. I haven't had a cherry since last season. I'm really excited. Oh, that is so delicious. A perfect combination of sweet and tart, which makes these guys amazing for baking, preserving, or just eating fresh like I just did. I have it permanently marked on my calendar for this time of year, telling me to go look for the first harvest cherries in the United States.
The finest things you'll find on earth, and he's talking about cherries. This guy, and then by the way, he starts talking about the Roman Empire, of how they had cherries. I don't know, he knows a lot of stuff. But it's fascinating to me that he's like, you guys, you won't believe it. I found cherries, and they got the perfect mix of tart and sweet, and you can bake with them, or you can just put them on ice cream, or what. And he's like over the moon about cherries. And the guy is awesome. I love it that there's a person out there who is just flips out over the produce section. But did you know that that's what God thinks about you? Those little things about you that make you go, I don't know, or I wouldn't share this with the whole world, or this isn't really what's good about me. I have these other things I could do. And he goes, no, that inner beauty, that spirit that's inside of you that'll never fade. I am over the moon about that. I can't tell you how wonderful that part of you is, and how great it is to know that about you. It is of great value in my eyes. Just you. Who you are. And God says that is a beauty that will never fade. Here's what 1 Thessalonians says. So Apostle Peter said that last part. Here's what the Apostle Peter says about just removing yourself from the normal flow of what it means to be a human who's proving himself. Here's what he says. He says, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business, work with your own hands, just as you are told. Isn't that fascinating? This is one of the most underplayed aspects of what the Bible teaches us. Make it your ambition to just leave other people alone. You don't have to be promoting yourself all the time. You don't have to be proving yourself all the time. You don't have to be showing the world what you're made of all the time. Sometimes you can just mind your own business, raise your own kids, live in your own home, work with your own hands, do your own thing, and don't worry about the accolades of the world. And don't worry about the awards and the trophies you can win. And when you ever do get those are wonderful, and I'm proud of you for earning it. But really, if you want to know, your ambition should be, I wish and I hope I could have a quiet life with my family and just be there with them. This is a fascinating part of Christian teaching, and one that we often don't teach. But it's one of the core themes that Jesus taught on the Sermon on the Mount. Now, the Sermon on the Mount was a sermon Jesus taught on a mount. So the Bible is real creative about how they titled things. It was on a mount. It's a Sermon on the Mount. Now, when they named their kids, they got really creative. But when it's like naming books, it was like, we'll just call that Philippians. Why? Because it's written to the Philippians. I don't know. Why you ask? The Sermon on the Mount, he says this. He starts talking right in the middle of it. He starts talking about these parts of your Christian life. Your giving and your generosity. Your prayer, your fasting, these parts of your Christian life that are so core to being a Christian, but they should exist anywhere but out in the open. They should be things that you do that are simply between you and Jesus. He says they're to be done in the secret place. These parts about you that no one else except maybe the closest among you will ever know. And what he says is that when your Father, who sees what is done in secret, sees it, he will reward you. That you have a Father who watches you every day. He sees you in every moment. He sees that inner self, that unfading beauty that maybe no one else sees. And he sees it, and he loves it, and he rewards you for it, because it is of great value in God's eyes. Can I give you a little piece of application about how to handle this in your life? Once we come to understand this part of the Christian life, where it's not about what we can earn, where it's not about how we can prove ourselves, it's not about how we can show the world how great we are. Once we understand that part, all those other things that we spend our lives doing, our careers, our sports, our degrees, our whatever it is, they get to go back to being just the things we spend our lives doing. We can do them because we like them. We can do them because we're good at them. We can do them for any reason you want. You can do them because you get a paycheck doing it. You can do it for any reason except to prove yourself to the world around you. And that is a freeing thing that God gives us that no other worldview can give us. A worldview that says, you are mine and I am yours, and you can go live your life. And if the world doesn't celebrate you, God will. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Isn't that a wonderful way to look at your work or look at the things you're working towards? Because what God values most is your inner self and the unfading beauty that is inside. My kids have a book called The Empty Pot. It's an old Chinese folk tale, and the story goes like this. In ancient times, there's an emperor who was getting old, and he wanted to hand his empire over to someone, and he didn't want to be the emperor forever. And so he decided to put on a contest. And the emperor calls in people from all over the nation, all over the continent, and says, everybody come in, I'm going to put it on a contest. And all the people that came in, kids and adults and everyone came in, he gave every single person a seed. And he said, I want you to grow by this time next year the most beautiful plant I've ever seen, the most beautiful flower. Your job is to take care of the seed to where it is the most beautiful flower. And whoever has the most beautiful flower this time next year will get my kingdom. And so a boy gets his seed, and everyone goes home, and he is so excited. His father's so proud of him. I can't believe you've entered into the emperor's contest. I can't believe the emperor chose you as one of his contestants. This is wonderful. And the kid went home, and he took the job very seriously. And he got a pot and put beautiful dirt in it. He put his seed in it, and he watered it so faithfully. And days and days and days went. He watered and he watered and watered, and then weeks happened, and nothing grew. And his father said, don't worry, son. Plants don't grow overnight. Don't worry, son. It's going to be okay. Just keep working at it. Stay faithful. You're going to work it. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And he kept watering and he kept watering and kept watering. And a little while later, he began to notice green little sprigs popping out of everybody else's pot but his. They had plants growing. They had little buds. They had things happening. And his pot was just an empty pot. Half a year rolls around. No longer his father's encouraging him. No longer is he going, don't worry, son, it doesn't happen overnight. He's starting going, kids, we got to figure something out here. Why don't we'll go find the most beautiful flower we can find. We'll plant it in a pot, and the emperor will never know. And the child goes, that won't be honest, Dad. I can't do it. I'm just going to keep watering the plant. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know why it's not growing, but I'm just going to keep watering my plant. And the day comes to take the plants back to the emperor. And as he gets closer and closer and closer to the palace, he looks around and sees everyone in the room has a flower but him. Orchids and roses, lilies and sunflowers, every flower you can think. It looks like a garden in there. It looks like a forest. It is an amazing sight, and he's the only one sitting there with an empty pot. And the emperor zeroes in on this boy, and he goes, how dare you bring me an empty pot? What were you thinking? Whose fault is it that this plant did not grow? And the boy in a sheepish voice said, it's mine. I couldn't get the plant to grow. And when the emperor saw the boy's honesty, his scowl softened and his bared teeth grew to a smile. And he said, of course you couldn't. I boiled the seeds. No one could make a plant with the seeds I gave them. And he was the only person in the kingdom willing to come back to the emperor with an empty pot. And on that day, he became the emperor. One of the hardest things to do in life, one of the hardest things to do in Christianity, is come to God with an empty pot. And sometimes it feels like all we're doing is carrying an empty pot. Like, that's all I am. That's all I got. And what God wants you to know is that that is of great worth in His eyes. That is exactly what He's asked you for. I've heard it said, if you want to become a Christian, all you have to have is nothing. And most people don't even have that. To the moms in the room who feel like you're just carrying an empty pot, take heart. Because God sees great value and great worth in what you do. And though our culture, by the way, though our culture struggles with the importance and the appreciation of moms and dads and whatever else, you know deep down every single one of us sees it the same way God does, right? You know deep down we all agree with what this is saying about the moms in our lives, right? I'll prove it to you. Every single day, somewhere on earth, there's somebody who's just minding his own business, and then somebody else comes up and holds a camera in his face, live television. What does the person do? They wave their hand. Hi, Mom. Right? As if to say, by the way, hi, Mom. As if to say, if anyone on earth deserves the spotlight right now, it's my mom. As if to say, if anyone deserves a red carpet rolled out in front of her, it's my mom. As if to say, if anyone on earth should be the center of attention, it should be the moms among us. Thank you, thank you, thank you for spending your youth on us. This world would not be the way it is without you.